Hello, friends. It is I, David Busuttil. We are going live. We are going to be talking about Second Kings chapter 2. We're going to finish, I should say, chapter 2. We already did half of it, but we did not get to one of the craziest bits, and that's pretty exciting for me. So you have 5 minutes to figure yourself out, and then we are going to be talking about this passage. Please join. I will also read a bit of poetry at the beginning, because why not? So come on out. See you in 5 minutes. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
We got a
Morning.
Matt, we got a Yoav, we got a Yosef. How's everyone doing today?
Okay.
Are you sick again? How are you with us?
Oh no, I'm working from home. We still haven't been plowed out from that storm, so we have made some progress, but yeah, we haven't been able to get our cars out yet. So
Man, okay.
Really? How in the woods are you?
we're not at all. It's just that our county has decided to play games and claim that they're 99% plowed or 100% plowed when they didn't actually plow everything. Like they didn't hit a lot of the cul-de-sacs or like a lot of whatever, like the tiny like offshoot streets and dead ends. So yeah, so we were on a cul-de-sac and they didn't finish. Like they started and they stopped in the middle of the street and left and never came back. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Oy.
This is very good. Would you rather encounter a bear or a prophet in the woods? It's a very good question, Matt. It's very profound in our day and age. I've brought up a poem that I'm going to read at some point.
Yes.
Because I really like the term she bear, which comes up in this story, the she bears. It's, have you guys ever heard Kipling's The Female of the Species? Have you ever heard this poem?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's a classic. Maybe I'll just read the very beginning of the poem before we get into this delightfully wacky passage of scripture. The Female of the Species by Rudyard Kipling. Sorry, Matt, were you going to say something?
I was just saying, we haven't gotten into the text yet, but is the gender of the bears specified? Are they she bears, or is it just
They're she bears?
they're she bears? It seems like a textually significant detail. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
Yoav, what's the masculine for dubim?
No, because it's shtei dubim rather than shnei dubim.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The Female of the Species by Rudyard Kipling. When the Himalayan peasant meets the he-bear in his pride, he shouts to scare the monster, who will often turn aside. But the she-bear, thus accosted, rends the peasant tooth and nail, for the female of the species is more deadly than the male. It goes on for a while. It's not a short poem about how women are far more vicious than men. It's delightful. I recommend it. But we should jump to the scripture, unless anyone has anything they want to say about going into this passage.
Just that I'm very glad that Yosef is here because there's a lot of explaining to do.
I assume you finished the she-bear story, right? You moved on to chapter 3 or 4?
No, we didn't do it.
No.
We got to, because it was just so packed.
I forgot.
Elijah getting taken up in the whirlwind. Eliyahu getting taken up in the whirlwind took up a lot of energy.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and so I don't even know, because the next chapter is its own sort of thing. I don't know if we will move past this chapter. Because the bears, guys, the bears. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The bears.
The
bears.
So I'm going to bring it. Why is it not up? There we are. Okay, excellent. Matt, could you read for us?
Yeah.
15 to 18. Go ahead.
15 to 18. Now, when the sons of the prophets who were at Jericho saw him opposite them, they said, "The spirit of Elijah rests on Elisha." And they came to meet him and bowed to the ground before him. And they said to him, "Behold, now there are with you servants, 50 strong men. Please let them go and seek your master. It may be that the spirit of Hashem has caught him up and cast him upon some mountain or into some valley." And he said, "You shall not send." But when they urged him till he was ashamed, he said, "Send." They sent therefore 50 men, And for 3 days they sought him, but did not find him. And they came back to him while he was staying at Jericho and said to them, Did I not say to you, do not go?
Okay, so we did cover this section last week. I feel that it does overlap. I don't have anything really to say. It's interesting. They recognize that he is the prophet. Yeah. Go ahead, Yosef.
Yeah, so they recognize him. I would also say there is another, this is the inverse of the scene where earlier we had one prophet looking for 50 hidden prophets who are like in a cave. Here we have 50 prophets looking for one guy. And they're also talking about valleys and mountains, right? So there is this kind of like interesting inverted scene from the Eliyahu Achav story. I can't remember who the other prophet is in that one, but the other prophet in that story who's looking for him.
Oh, and he was in the valley. He was in the valley when he was drinking the water and being fed by ravens. Isn't that like he hangs out along the stream?
He was. Yeah, that's a little different. The different word, and but yeah. That also is relevant.
I do think it's interesting in a Peugeot way, like where we're not sure where he went. He's either really way up high or he's way down low in a valley.
Top or bottom, guys. He's either top or bottom.
It's such a complicated figure. We're not sure where he ended up at the end, eschatologically speaking.
Well, and this has you can't see him anymore, so he has to be hidden somewhere, right? Like, and as we noted, the chapters ever since the beginning of Kings have had a very strong verticality, where they talk like someone's at the top of a peak and the bottom, right? There's this whole vertical thing has been a theme. For 3 chapters now, I think, right? Oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I'm gonna come back in a bit.
No problem. Okay, now we can say all the things that'll bother Yosef.
I do want to throw. I don't think we covered this connection or mentioned this connection last time, but I think there's also because you have the chief of an order dying a mysterious death. There is some potential connection to like Moses and the fact that we don't know where Moses' body is, and this is also a succession narrative because you have Elisha succeeding Elijah, and you have the question in the same day that you had Joshua succeeding Moses. There's a certain echoes.
That's interesting. Yeah. The guy could go missing. That's an interesting image in and of itself. Okay. All right. This is good.
But also I don't know if it's something to do with Israel's absolute prohibition on the image. The fact that the greatest representatives of your order, you instead of having a grave where you can go and commemorate them, you have an absence. You are the greatest honor is to be in a sense not physically commemorated.
That's it. Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, remind me at the end. I have a comment about graves.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That sounds great already. Could you read us the next section, please, Matt?
Yes. There we go. Now the men of the city said to Elisha, Behold, the situation of this city is pleasant, as my Lord sees, but the water is bad, and the land is unfruitful. He said, Bring me a new bowl and put salt in it. So they brought it to him, and he went to the spring of water and threw salt in it and said, Thus says Hashem, I have healed this water from now on, neither death nor miscarriage shall come from it. So the water has been healed to this day, according to the word that Elisha spoke.
Okay, all right. This is a great immediate thing to occur. Remember how my idea is, my perspective, I know everyone's throwing different notions forward, but I have said that I see the spirit of Elijah as being deeply related to water in particular. And Elisha, I would say even more so, has these stories related to water. So he comes down. The first miracle that he performs is the parting of the water. Then he comes over and he blesses some water. It's also interesting that he throws in salt because salt is something that makes bitter water or water that is salt water, which you can't drink. The idea of putting in some salt that it's going to heal the water it's an interesting image to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I know part of it's just I was in the Martin Shaw Percival thing a week or two ago, and so I'm on like, but it feels very kind of like Fisher King-esque. The idea that like they're like the new prophet's online, and that like it's not just like they're
Mhm.
connecting the water to like the whole land is sick, and now that he's in charge, like there's healing that's going to be brought to the land. It seems like
Yeah,
a
that's
small
good.
thing, but they draw a lot. It's like now there's no longer was it no more death, no more miscarriage shall come from it. Like this is
Yeah. It's real like Mufasa end of the Lion
yeah,
King.
yes.
Scar is dead, and immediately it's going to start raining. It's like, what did Scar have to do with it not raining on Pride Rock? Um,
Is this just I don't know like the phase change from Elijah to Elisha? Because Elijah is kind of combating the big bad of Ahab and Jezebel.
mhm.
And so they're in a sense like on the constantly on the defensive. And now we're
I
seeing
believe
like
Ahab is presented as already dead. Jezebel is still
right,
alive, but Ahab is already dead.
right. But it's like Elijah is the one who's hiding in the wilderness in the dead places, and here it's
Hmm.
rather than defending against the dark, it's sort of like seems like healing is going to return to the land, light is encroaching. It's just
I think so, but I think on a narrative level, sometimes the miracles of Jesus play this role where it's
mhm,
showing him to have the authority that he claims to have.
mhm,
So you, as he comes down, he's wearing the outfit. So you could be like, okay, he's wearing the outfit, therefore he is the successor of Elijah. But you want something that proves that he is,
yeah,
and so he does something like this double spirit of Elijah, meaning that he is like the rightful inheritor of what Elijah did. There was no water on like there was no rain on the land, and Elijah is the one who prayed, and the rain came. And so in this image, that he goes to a place and immediately heals the water and makes it so that it's drinkable,
yep,
I think would connect with this concept.
mhm,
He is the rightful king,
yeah.
or rightful prophet. Yoav, do you have any comment on that? Do you think we're just being nuts? We're just crazy over here. Okay. Okay. Well, then we're going to the greatest part, which,
Yes.
like many great parts, okay, Yosef has returned to us. Excellent. He'll hopefully show up. Oh, there he is. You made it just in time. Do you got anything to say about the healing of the waters? They throw some salt in some water and it's all
The
good,
healing of the waters. I mean, it's a parallel to Moses at Mara healing the waters.
Yeah.
right?
Right. So he takes, and it's not just parallel that he heals waters, but specifically he takes something that you wouldn't think should fix the water, right?
Throws
And
it in.
throws it in, and that somehow sweetens the water and makes it drinkable. Yeah, I mean that's also Alicia's going to have both of them, but Alicia especially will have a lot of water miracles, right? I mean, he's just the water. Just in general.
Yep, you're speaking my language. Now, this is another one that's amazing because look at how brief it is. A brief little story that is just going to go off like an atomic bomb, I promise. Matt, would you please read it for us?
Yes. Okay. So he went up from there to Bethel, and while he was going up on the way, some small boys came out of the city and jeered at him, saying, "Go up, you bald head! Go up, you bald head!" And he turned around, and when he saw them, he cursed them in the name of Hashem. And 2 she-bears came out of the woods and tore 42 of the boys. From there he went to Mount Carmel, and from there he returned to Samaria.
42 little boys.
That's
I want Yoav to say his theory first because I know Yosef is going to say things and it's going to be very nice and encouraging and it's gonna make this less problematic. I know that's going to happen.
No,
I have that
what
material as
Yoav says,
well.
and this is at the beginning, Yoav says, well, I do not understand any of it. And then Yoav is thinking, and after an hour, he comes up with with his wacky theory. So it's not time for me yet to come up with my wacky theory. Don't have it yet, but
Tell me the problem is part of because
yeah.
one of the things
When
that
last did you see a group of 42 kids? I mean, you don't have 42 kids in the whole city. You know?
That's good because I have a theory as to why it's 42.
Because as much as I know kids, they go by age group.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have 42 kids in the school, you would have 5 kids in a class. And they don't congregate past their age group. They don't go out to play past their age group. You have to take out the whole school to get 42 kids.
Okay, excellent. Yoav, so there's a bunch of things I want to talk about, and you are introducing the problems that I do think have answers to them. And so you're asking the right questions, whether or not you have a theory as to what to do with it. The mauled by bears for saying that a man is bald. Look, two of the gentlemen here have a little bit missing on top. I don't first off, I don't think it would be that much of an insult to mention that you are lacking of some hair. And I certainly don't think it would warrant being mauled to death by bears.
Is it like a, I don't know, like a reverse Samson sort of thing? And like, is it, I don't know, it's sort of like a jab at like his like lack of virility?
But think about it, Matt. Think about, oh, is this real? Yanni, you're joining us for the She-Bears conversation? I don't think you've shaved since the last time I've seen you. Your beard is much more impressive. And there is a light coming from his third eye. Is coming some sort of a light. Yanni, would you like to say anything?
I don't think I've ever been on stream with Yanni before. Cool.
Hold on a second.
Do you have a 45-minute?
I can't hear you on StreamYard.
Oh, you can't hear us? Oh, that's unfortunate.
David, why don't you go? I have stuff to say, but I want you to go.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. Number one, and Yoav, you didn't even mention it. You don't go up to Bethel. And so some people have lined this up with a concept known as cosmic geography, where there is a abominable high place at Bethel. It's a competing place of worship. And so
you do go up to Bethel, though.
Sorry, where is it? It's
your photography doesn't sound right.
Sorry, okay. Bethel does become a place of horrible worship of like against God. So the going up to Bethel could be actually lined up with the notion of worship.
Eliyahu was in Bethel the previous chapter, and we don't have this issue.
You don't see that as okay. All right.
No,
it's a very important city in the Northern Kingdom. It's the southernmost border city of the Southern Kingdom. It serves as like a southern capital or something. Not capital, it's the wrong word, but a major hub of trade. And there is a temple, and it's one of the two places where there's a temple with the calf. Though they still understand they're worshiping God. They just think they can worship God with calves in their temples because the one in Jerusalem also has 12 oxen. I think it's hard to... Going up there does not seem like Eliyahu did it. Why is that different for Elisha?
Okay, all right.
He started in Jericho. When you start in Jericho, any city, any direction is up.
It's higher.
Okay.
Yes.
It's the lowest city in the world.
Okay, all right. Well, the second thing I was going to say is that the notion of him being a boy, that term is used of Joseph, when he's 17, and it's used of Solomon when he's a grown man.
And Yishmael at 14.
Yes, there are repeated instances in which people
16,
who are who are not like literally it says small boy, but you need to consider, for instance, if I said a maid came to my house on Tuesday, I don't mean a 12-year-old girl. I mean
so here there's a little different.
grown woman. Go ahead.
The Hebrew here is a little different because it's not just na'ar. Na'ar would be has this implication of it. Yeah,
right.
It could be a teenager, it could be younger, but it says katan. We don't have katan as a modifier in the other cases. This is a unique modifier, which implies that this is a younger na'ar than like the general age range that we use. So this does imply pretty young. We don't have to necessarily say like 8-year-olds, but like it's not a 17 or 16.
Okay. Well,
it cannot be more explicit than that in Hebrew.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, unless they said tinokot or taf or something, right? They wouldn't. There's not really another, and that's even too. That's too young.
But so we have other instances, like the Judean royalty. There's this instance in which I believe it's the Judean royalty is massacred, and it states that there's 42 of them, which is the same number that are killed by the bears. And so I
think that's a Talia's story, right? The grandmother who kills all the other people.
But one of the theories is that 42 of the young men is actually like a royal position, that it's the royal court.
And Beit El is not Beit El is not a royal city. There's no palace there. There's no king there.
But that these might be related to the site of worship. So there's
it's confusing multiple things. The priests of the Northern Kingdom are not the kings of the Northern Kingdom. The royal court's not there, and we have no indication that the priests care about 42. And it's her actual physical descendants. It's not like she's killing the other people who could claim the throne when she kills the 42, which is like it's not like a position, right? It's those are the claimants to the throne.
So part of the issue within the text is that the young man and the servants or whatever, that these, which oftentimes get lined up with youth, which I'm not saying is not a possible interpretation, but elsewhere refers to almost like a military position.
Never, it's very rare. Almost never is not actually used for a military position. It's actually 80% of the time it's used not for military.
Right. Are you talking about just the servant way or just the...
Yeah, just the servant way. It's not used as military most of the time. There's lots of other words for that. We don't usually have that word, and it's not used that way in kings mostly, which is really the issue.
Okay. All right, that's how you're seeing it. Because I do think that there is a way of interpreting it that this is like a religious thing, that it's a going up. And even the reference to the baldness, remember that Eliyahu is identified as the hairy guy. So to be
it's going to be... I'm going to push you more there.
Okay.
Go back to the beginning of this chapter. Go back to the beginning of the chapter, the same chapter, chapter 2. When they would start the chapter, they're going to Bethel, right? Because everything's in chiastic order here. So we're down, and they go to Jericho. They're in Jericho, and they go to Bethel, right? And back and forth. So if we go back to where they're going to Bethel, the prophet's disciples come out of Bethel. It parallels the coming out of the kids, right? They come out to Elisha, and they say to him, what did they say to him? For Hayadata, did you know? On this day, God will be taking your master from upon your head. He's not just taking your master away or taking him. It's a very weird phrase. It's not used there. He's literally taking him off his head. So the baldness might be a reference to you've lost your master, right? You're the bald one. Right? You're now referring to the master as the one who of the head. And what do they tell him? Go back to the insult. Alei karech. They're telling him to ascend to heaven like his master did. It's really, really explicit that they're not just saying like, oh, you're not as like you're not as good as Eliyahu because you're bald. It's like we're making fun of you for the loss of your master and you can't replicate. You think that these guys like they're bowing to you and they're acknowledging you. We don't think that you can do have the power that your master had. I think it's a very, very pointed and specific reference to what happened in Beit El. There's also this really weird and interesting.
Can I just riff off that for a second?
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jan.
So I put something in the text in the chat. Can you just bring it up?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the Septuagint, at least the thing I'm reading, The word that appears for bear is that center word, arkoi. Now, on the left, you have archeo, which means ward. So that's like a bodyguard or something. Oh, you're the guys who's defending you. And on the right, you have the term for bear or north. And of course, the Big Dipper and Little Dipper are northern hemisphere constellations. Literally, the tail of the little bear is the North Star. So bears and the north are not only coincidental in constellations, but also where you find them. You're not going to find bears in the Middle East. I mean, are we going to find elephants and tigers and lions and all these things in the Middle East?
There are bears.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. I know. And there were also lions in Europe, and I'm sure there were tigers in Iran and everything. But the Middle East is not a menagerie. The idea that, of course, that a bear would kill 2 bears, 42 children.
It totally is. It totally is in the period. We have bones.
Okay, that's
we
fine.
have bones from the period.
Okay. Anyway, back to the text. So
we can't ignore
the point is that center word arkoi is actually a conjugation of the word ward, and it happens to be the word in the Septuagint. So you can even see a kind of flow here, because of course, what is a mama bear but the ward to her child, to her offspring? So this kind of flows very nicely in the Greek. And so to me, just to explain this simply, and then I'll be off and you guys can discuss, is that these are just two of Elisha's bodyguards. And they were ordered to kill these children as a punishment. And it's the same as the term lion. Like the term lion is used for a bodyguard too. These are metaphors. These are all metaphors. It's not literal. So, I'm happy that there's disagreement. It adds diversity to the world. And,
yeah, well,
enjoy the discussion. I'm sure that the elephants and the ostrich are also those animals. Yeah, sure.
Well, I've wondered.
Except we actually have bears there are still bears in Lebanon, and we have bones from this period from Israel. It's ignoring evidence in front of you.
Yeah.
And Jonah was also eaten by a fish. That also happened, right? Yeah. I mean,
explicitly coming out of the forest.
I'm sorry?
They came out of the forest explicitly.
They came out of the forest. That's true. What's the forest in your symbology?
I would agree with you. Poetically, there is a confusion between a bodyguard and a bear, and I accept the double meaning. These are his bear bodyguards.
Yeah, but I also wondered about the female may emphasize the ferocity, because it is like the female bears that are often like the image of a mother bear. People still use that language as acting like a mama bear as a way of saying a protector. Is that positioning him as a cub? I don't know. Like I wonder about the position of the bears as well. I've said a whole bunch of
Samuel. That David in 2 Samuel. I don't remember. But
fought the lion and the bear.
No. That too. That's when 1 Samuel. In 2 Samuel, Hushai says to Absalom, your father and your men are courageous fighters. They are as desperate as a bear in the wild, robbed of her whelps. Your father is an experienced soldier, and he will not spend the night with the troops. So there we have explicit that we could say that, we have warriors compared to bears. It could totally be that, except the weird thing of them coming out of the forest. They're not really, and we have no other indication that he had guards anywhere else, right? Like nowhere do we hear anything about guards for prophets. Like it doesn't exist as a thing, as far as we can tell, anywhere else in the text. But here we do hear about 2 fighters. So maybe there are 2 guys who are inspired to fight for him. Maybe they're official guards, maybe they're not. I could hear that, but I think you have to push to get.
I just want to make a comment about last week's talk where I made the affirmation. I said that in the Greek it appears that Elisha's name is that he's a man of the forest. We were talking about the girdle and all that stuff, and if he's hairy or whatever. And in the Greek it says man of the forest. So it would make sense that his bodyguards would come from where he comes from. But
that's Eliyahu, not Elisha.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Yeah. So that's the other, which would also be thematic though, for saying that he's not Eliyahu, he's not the man of the forest, and then he can control the animals, whatever, of the forest. then he is a little bit more Eliyahu-like, maybe, in that sort of frame.
Well, we talked about another story where there's the two groups of the king's men who are killed. The groups of soldiers that come to go get Eliyahu, that he calls down the fire before he goes with the third. That some people have also lined that up with the two bears, like the dissemination of wrath, the twofold dissemination of wrath, along with the twofold insult, go up you bald head, go up you bald head, that it happens twice, and that the two bears come out. That this is, again, like in the way that Eliyahu brought the water back, Elisha is healing the water, and in the way that there was the twofold bit, like letting loose of the wrath, we have a twofold letting loose of the wrath.
Well, this could just be the twofold portion. Maybe they're teasing him that you say you have twofold portion of Eliyahu, go up twice.
Right.
Can't do it.
Right.
Yoni, what does it say behind your back? What's the text?
I thought it would fit. It says the solar flares will continue until morale improves.
How do I do this?
Fine.
Yeah. What? How do I? Yeah, there it is. There we are. That's great. That's very funny. I like how your forehead was shining for most of this as well. If you move slightly, you get.
Yeah, that certainly improved my morale. I have a comment to the effect that we don't understand any of this text. He's going up from there, meaning Jericho, to Bethel, and he's going up on the road. And the small boys are coming out of the city. I would expect him to face him. He's going up to the city. They're going up from the city. They should be coming facing him. Okay, so they say, go up, Baldi. And then he turns around. And when he turns around, he sees them. So they came from behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Although he was going to the city, they came out from the city, but they turned out behind him. So only when he turned around, he saw them, and he cursed them. And then two bears, whatever bears I mean, are coming out of the forest, meaning that it all happens on a path going through the forest, which is not by the city. The forest doesn't go all the way to the city. You have a lot of fields around the city. So the little boys are going quite a long way from the city, maybe a day's walk, and they ambush him in the forest. So they appear behind him just to make fun of him. There's something going on that is not in the text.
Yeah, so I'm gonna add two other bits. We've had this this phrase, like he turned around and saw behind him. We've had it appears four times in Tanakh, all of them in the section of the prophets. We've had it in Judges when Benjamin was routed during the Civil War. We had it with Avner. So Asael is chasing Avner into Samuel to catch up to him to pass him a message. And then we had it probably the most charged time that maybe connected most to this is when Saul turns around and sees the Amalekite and asks him to kill him at the end of the battle when he's injured and doesn't want to be taken in the battle on Gilboa. So you do have this phrase is like common, but we have it in like a couple other places, and they might have a little bit of insight. The other thing that's kind of bothering me is last time we had this talk about bears, which was in end of 2 Samuel. But the one I just quoted from Hushai when he compares the warriors of Avshalom to bears. This very specific word it uses for a bear that like loses her whelp is mishukalat, which is actually the same word that what this water causes here in 2:19 and 20. It's like to miscarry or to like lose or to be bereaved, like to lose a child. You usually use this word. So a bear that's lost her whelp is exactly what we're talking about. And so if he's heading to Beth El, that he just left this place where the waters cause bears to lose, or anyone, animals and bears. They actually mention animals specifically, right? They say animal. Where is that? I'm pretty sure it says here, makes the land deadly, right? The water's bad, making the land deadly.
Mhm.
He put the water, and he feels. Where was it? Anyway, he heals it, but maybe it doesn't say animals there. But there seems to be a connection to me where maybe he's not actually in Bet El. He's heading toward Bet El. Behind him, the youth from the city of the healed water are coming. Maybe because they're on the road. I mean, they're on the road in between, Yoav. There's forest somewhere in there.
Yeah, one problem. There is no forest in the Judean desert. You have to
From
go
Jericho
all the
to
way
Bet El.
You have to be right by day walk from Bet El to encounter your first forest.
I hear that. Though the forest landscape has changed a lot over the years, so it's a little
But
hard.
never in the Judean desert.
I hear that.
Just a brief comment. As I see things, I'll just chip in. One thing about the she bears is that it's possible that this is a kind of error in translation, kind of like how in Spanish, la casa, la mesa, those are feminine, but a house doesn't have a gender. So just because bears in Greek are feminine, they're translated as she bears, but you wouldn't know if they are actually female bears or male bears. So this could be just an artifact of the translation, she bear, and it could be two male bears. So this is just I'm just putting out this trivia.
Yeah, but it doesn't help us either way. I mean, there could be a transgender bears. It doesn't change the story.
I do think that would have a connotation. Yeah. I'm so glad. I find it very interesting when texts have a bunch of problems, because then we talk about them for a while. So in 1 Kings chapter 11, the same term, the Na'ar Katan, refers to someone who goes off and marries, like is of marriageable age, a man who is able to get married to. He marries the daughter of Pharaoh. He finds favor with Pharaoh, but it again, like when we're trying to understand what these guys are, I have this tendency of interpreting them based on a couple of other passages as not necessarily actually being like a group of I don't think it's a group of toddlers. I don't think it's like a kindergarten class making fun of a random guy and the bears.
I would agree with you, because it is so far from the city and they're coming from behind him.
Right. Oh, that's good.
I mean, I don't agree with you about the language, because language can be stretched anyway. So, I mean, it's becoming postmodern, but I have to agree with you in the end. The interpretation of them being very little children doesn't make sense. I don't know what does make sense, but that doesn't make sense.
But Yoav, you often steer us off course. So if you agree with me, do I take that as good, or do I take that as a bad sign?
Well, so here's a question, Yoav. The only other time we have a forest in 2 Kings is going to be associated with the forest outside of Carmel, which is where he's going after Beit El. So is this maybe between Beit El and Carmel, in the forests, in that kind of northern pass region up into the before you hit the valley? Thinking geographically, just for a second.
I put in a word in the chat because I wish I had more time.
No, fine.
This word is the word that is describing what happened to the kids. And when you put this word into Wiktionary, you get the term
that
I mean, we can always make fun of everyone's
No,
texts.
No,
Everyone
no,
has-
okay, okay.
No,
What
what's
does
the
it
word?
mean?
Go
Put it
on.
here.
The word
Yeah.
means burgle. It means steal. They were
That's very
burgled.
different. In
So
Hebrew, it means
that,
to
I'm just
literally
saying, you
split
know,
into-
I'm not,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I know.
this is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and in Hebrew it means to split in two. It's often used like for splitting the waters in half, right? When they cross the Jordan or the Dead Sea or the
Oh.
or the Sea
Yeah,
of Reeds.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
splitting, but this is also like to rend the human open. Like, but so when like the pregnant women get ripped open in Lamentations, this is also the word used for their bellies being ripped
They're
open.
split.
It's a very
yeah,
different word.
yeah. I mean, it is
Now
a
I
very-
want every single. I want it literally though. I want every
It also
single
means-
slash
it also
of the
means that-
bear to like.
It also means a valley, David. So you know, to rend like the land, right? So we have
Right,
valleys
right.
and other valleys.
Yeah, it is a very strange verb. I mean, I don't mind either the Hebrew version or the Greek version. Doesn't make sense either way.
Yeah. What are you stealing? What are you burgling? How do you read that, Yanni?
And more, I mean, I mean, tearing people into two. This is not what bears do.
I am for some reason, whenever I read these things and kids come up, I think of the German story of the Pied Piper going into the city, and somehow the kids end up going with him. And I just try to play with, well, what are they doing here? How are they going to take the kids in this context? How are they going to take the kids in this context? And you know, if you're in the Middle East, maybe you have dates, and if you're in the Caribbean, you have sugarcane. And if you're in this other place, you have, so there are different ways, and obviously it's a very short passage, so it's not like it's explaining anything. But
No.
to answer your question, I think of the Pied Piper, and I think of what does it mean to rend the kids away? What does that mean to split them away? So that's how I think about it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to bring another text from later in 2 Kings. We're going to get there eventually. So Isaiah shows up in 2 Kings, right? We also have him in the book of Isaiah, but he's also here. And he's talking to Hezekiah, who at this moment is asking for help, like God's help against the Assyrians who are about to come into the city. They're actually not going to end up coming, right? God helps them, but they're besieging him. This is 2 Kings 19. And there's this weird prophecy. And in this prophecy, there's this line, through your messengers or angels, envoys, you have blasphemed my sovereign, because you thought, thanks to my chariot, I have ascended to the highest peak, to the remotest parts of Lebanon, and I have cut down the loftiest cedars and the choicest cypresses, and I have reached the like the highest lodging places, and the forest of Carmel. And I'm reading this and I'm thinking, wow, this seems a lot like, well, someone who's claiming they're sort of Elijah-like, because they're going up in a chariot to the highest places. In fact, they alam Rome, right? So it's literally to like the heavenly heights in that sense. And it's linked to going up, you know,
Going up to Carmel.
to the forest of Carmel, around Carmel, specifically. That seems like it also should be connected to this, right? And then also the next line is I have drawn and drunk the water of strangers. And so there's also kind of this line of, you know, where he's healing the waters. I don't know. There seems to be something where someone is like claiming something being Elisha or Elijah like in this later part in Kings. It seems to be talking about what we're talking about here a little bit. It is weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Matt, do you have an overarching theory about this incident? What you think it's about? I threw in my heavily contested. It's a religious thing. It's about him being, which, you know what, I liked a lot of Yosef's refutation of my ideas. I enjoyed them. I don't know. I have to sit in them a little bit if I think that they're completely reasonable. I think I do like the almost like an image of scalping. Like that's amazing.
The big thing is like Yoav brought out the fact that like if we're trying to find like the forest and how far out these kids have come, the idea of like being met by 42 young lads in the woods who are like mocking you, degrading you, like the way that Yoav kind of like describes some of the things that make sense makes it feel this is less like kids yelling him on the side of the road and more like a gang that is jumping him in the woods.
Oh,
Potentially.
that's interesting. Yeah. A group of
and the other
brigands.
thing, yeah, and especially since the flexibility of the Na'ar term.
Catan.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katam. It seems like we don't have enough data to really pinpoint well, like based off of that verb alone, like how old or young they are. And the other thing about the she bears is just, I don't know, it just seems fitting that mama bears come in and deal with some unruly whelps that weren't raised well.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, right, the reading of this text is that this is a mistake by Elisha, that he actually did something wrong here, and then his death, in fact, is connected to mishandling the situation.
Okay.
Which is not, which is probably something worth paying attention to.
Okay, so he cares them by the name of God, and God says, "Well, you shouldn't have done this, but I'm going." It's
Bears.
not Elijah. It's not Elijah that killed them.
Nope.
So yes, he made a mistake, but God was not obliged to obey the command of Elijah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well,
not like Elisha's not stabbing anybody.
It's not like God's obliged, but we're also in the moment of Elisha is doing things very publicly to demonstrate he's carrying the mantle and authority. It's kind of bad for like the second time God's new established miracle worker calls on God for a miracle and doesn't work. Like it's like Elijah's in the time frame of where like he is having to do things, like he's already had to do a couple things that kind of demonstrate he is working with Elijah's authority. Not to say that God's obligated, because God's not, but it's sort of what's like, how are you going to handle the dilemma of Elisha asking for something that's pretty controversial, to say the least. Like what?
I would dispute the word publicly. It's the middle of the forest, and I wonder if the 42 kids are dead. Who is telling the story?
Presumably the prophet, but yeah.
So Elisha is writing this in his memoirs.
Well, yeah. Who's writing any of this? Right. That's the question. We don't know. Someone. They had scribes. So I will say I want to bring another thing. For David likes numerology. 42. 42 is like the number. The other place it appears 3 times in the book of Numbers. Twice explicitly. Once you actually have to do the math but you realize it is 42.
Yeah.
So 42 is the number of Levitical cities. 42 is the number of way stations in the wilderness, and 42 is the number of sacrifices that Balaam makes when he's trying to get Balak. Sorry, that Balak makes when he's trying to get Balaam to curse the Jews.
Right. There's I didn't know how much I wanted to get into it, but with some of the numerology, 42 is taken as this step down, like 50 or 49. Like 49 would be rounded up to 50. 49 was seen as this concept of completion, right? The 7 weeks for the Feast of Weeks, for example, like this 7 times 7. So this lessened version, this lower version, the 6 times 7.
Yeah. One could see it also as 42 out of 50, right? Like.
Okay. So.
Real quick before you ask, I actually have a question for Yosef, if that's okay. It's about
just a second about numbers. The text says some kids, a number of kids, came to curse Elijah, and out of them, the bears killed 42. There were more than 32 to begin with. My guess 49, but 49 is a part, not all of the group. It's part of the group. So whoever was left to tell the story are the other kids that were not killed.
That's it. That would be a tie with the 50 that are sent, right?
Yeah.
We constantly have the groups of 50.
It could be easily 50 kids, yeah.
Yeah. The
Okay.
groups of 50 that come.
So my guess would be 50 or 49, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And out of them, 42 was killed, leaving 7.
Okay.
So it is all round numbers. Okay, cool kids, I interrupted you.
Okay. Yosef, is there a difference between gematria and numerology?
Well, I just use numerology as a random word. There's not really a thing. Gematria is a very, very specific technique where you take a Hebrew or Greek word, or now in other languages, but originally it was either Hebrew or Greek, and you line up the number with the letter and get a sum, and then use that to find another word that has the same exact or phrase that has the same value. That's a very, very specific usage. I would say maybe numerology is the right word. The science of using numbers, is that numerology?
But we're talking about actual numbers.
This is actually just matching the number, right? So we're not
Okay.
using gematria. If you want to know, the gematria of 42 is, we can come up with like a million different. Oh, not that million.
Yeah.
There's
What is
a
the
finite
gematria
number
of
Hebrew words that are valid? So
Yeah.
Bam is 42, Bet Mem.
But specifically, it would be like finding what the numerical value of Na'ar Katan is to interpret what they are.
Yeah. They're also called Yiladim, right? They are called Na'ar Katan and Yiladim, which is both words for children.
But that's
pretty
also
clear.
a term that's also used in other places.
It's not as generic as Na'ar. It is a little more limited.
Okay. Look, I found the one where it's used to refer to someone who isn't a child. I'll find the other.
Yeah. There is also there is weird grammar here where it's not our bet. I would Yoav, correct me if I'm wrong, but one would the way they say 42 kids doesn't sound quite right. Arba'im u'shnei yiladim, which sounds like it's actually 40 are killed, 2 of which are children, as opposed to 42 children. But it's a weird little. It's bothering me.
In the Greek, it says here paideria mikra, and mikra is where micro comes from. Mm-hmm. So these are micro children. These are little kids.
Okay, but how many micro children?
It says 42.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, but this is, again, there's all sorts of issues related to this, because if you call an African American boy, the insult is not because you're saying he's male. There's there's an implication of the word boy that has a whole cultural significance around it. And so
and our rabbis, this is in the Talmud, there's a debate whether these are actual children or people of little faith, where little is actually used for their belief. So there is that sort of very contextual cultural kind of potential that the rabbis point out here too.
Yeah, because
I agree that the 42 is written in a weird way if it was modern Hebrew. That is not how modern Hebrew would have put it, but I think it's okay for the time to pronounce 42. Now, theory. They are the sons of the prophets. So on the way down, Elisha met the sons of the prophets, and they know that what's going to happen. And he tells them, shut up. And now he's coming up, so he's probably meeting the same 50. And they're not shutting up. So now they're obeying, they are disobeying a direct order to shut up.
You think so? Because didn't those 50 just bow to him 5 sentences earlier?
That was the 50 in Jericho. But these are the earlier 50s in Bethel.
Oh, interesting.
You have to keep track of all your 50s.
Yeah, well, there are 2 groups of 50 with Obadiah and Yahoo too.
Yeah.
Right? When they're hiding the prophets, they hide them as 2 groups of 50, very specifically. Maybe did they hide one set in Beit El and one set in Jericho, and these are the same 50s from the time of Achav? That was a long time ago. I don't know how many years ago was that, but maybe it's the same groups.
Yeah, but it's an order. You keep the number Another
Well,
fixed. I mean, somebody dies, you accept another one to the order.
if there's
Oh.
this,
With the soldiers, we had 3 groups of 50. So are there 2 groups or 3 groups of 50 prophets? Is also my question.
Yeah, so 3 groups of soldiers, 2 groups of prophets. Yeah,
the
and 1 group of kids. So it's 3, 2, and 1.
Could there-
It all congeals in the end. I mean, the story is completely incomprehensible at the beginning, but it does congeal in the end.
You know, actually, in Zechariah, we have something very, actually maybe connected to this. In Zechariah, we hear, the book of Zechariah, you guys probably know it as a very different prophecy because of the book of Revelation and stuff. But there's this idea that like 2/3 of the world will die and 1/3 will live, but then that third will be refined further. Okay, so that 1/3 is actually called Soarim. They're called like small ones, maybe the Tzirim, Soarim. There's a whole question of if it's the same word. They're called the young ones. So this could, in fact, be an expansion of that idea where, and it's not, even though we say 2/3, the actual Hebrew like is not 2/3. It says double portion, which is the same double portion that is being asked for by Elisha from Eliyahu.
Right.
And there is actually other hints there that like it's the older ones that die and the younger one that is saved of the 2/3. So here it's actually where Jesus draws the idea of the meek shall inherit the earth comes from the same passage. Anyway, so but here maybe you have 3 groups, 2 groups die, 1 group, part of it survives and part of it doesn't, and they are the young ones. And maybe this is kind of a forerunner almost of that Zechariah vision.
Well, I'm just thinking about this. The idea of you have the prophet who the double portion was for the eldest of the children, and yes, we have the idea of the sons of the prophet, the Ben, but the word for children of the prophet would be Yalad, which is the other word that's being used to describe this group of boys. That could this be like Yoab was lining it up with the 50? Could this be almost like a fighting for inheritance? Because you said this, like Bethel is where the prophets were coming out before, and it was seen as positive. Could this even be the same group of people that this is all about fighting about the legitimacy of Eliyahu or of Elisha as the follower, and that the school that's under them are referred to, because it's not just like I'm looking at the use of Yalad in the text, and it could be a child, like someone who's young, but my father, like I am the child of my father, and he could still use that term of me even though I'm a grown man.
I'm just there's like a, I don't know if it's a technique or something, but there's you sometimes hear read the first few sentences of something, either a paragraph or whatever, and then the last sentence, and you kind of skip the middle. And so if I'm looking at the ESV right now, this starts with and he said, "Yes, I know. Keep it. Yes, I know it. Keep quiet." And the sons of the prophets who were in Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that today the Lord will take away your master?" And he said, "Yes, I know. Keep quiet." And if you kind of skip the middle and you go to the end, the joke here is that the kids didn't keep quiet. And in the Greek, it's I mean, the kids come from inside the city, and it's almost, because now I'm convinced that this is like an abduction case. It just makes sense. Like everything is gonna click, and I don't know how, you guys have to come and help convince me that these are actual bears, okay, and not bears of the male. You know what a bear is, David.
It doesn't matter, but because we have an explanation of why and what was going on. There was this group of sons of prophets. They were told to shut up, and they're explicitly not shutting up but making fun of him. This is why they were killed. I mean, it's not just making fun of him. It's more than that. Now, who are the bears? If they are aliens or bodyguards or the bears that are bodyguards, I mean, I will go with you. I mean, whatever you put on the table, I will accept, because
I would I would like to say that, Yanni, I do know what you mean by bear, but why would I know? Like, I'm insulted that you think I would know, even though I did know what you meant by
Yeah,
such
well,
a term.
now that you mention it, I know too, but it doesn't. I mean, there is the. I need to understand the story. So now I understand the story, and I can go with whatever direction you lead me to. That will be fun.
I have
But
another end.
I'm fine to have understood the story.
So I have another little piece that helps us understand the story.
Mhm.
Because why do we care about Jericho and Beit El, and like they're so far apart and they're not super connected, to Yoav's point? Like it's a real schlep between these places. So
I
go
love the word
back.
schlep, by the way. Schlep
It's
is
the right
just,
word. It's the right word for this.
yeah, yeah.
The end of 1 Kings 16 was when we last really talked about Jericho. And what was happening there? We're in the middle of the Achav. Achav and Izebel, Ahab and Jezebel become king and queen in Samaria. And then right after that, this guy named Hiel from Beit El goes to rebuild Jericho and undo the curse of Josh, against the curse that fell during the time of Joshua. So Jericho, thank you, Yoav. Look, Jericho is actually like a settlement of Beit El. It's colonized by Beit Elites from the north, even though Jericho is pretty far south. Why? And it is a northern settlement that's pretty far down south. And it says, what happens, right? When he first starts building it, his eldest son dies. And at the end of his building, his youngest son dies, right? And that's when he installs the doors, just like the curse of Hashem spoken to at the end of Joshua son of Nun. Now, what just happened? He goes to Jericho to heal the thing that's been killing the kids this whole time, all the way since the city's been rebuilt. He actually heals the curse of Joshua, which has been identified as this water source. And he heals it. We can talk about why with salt. But this I think, to me, like, this part solves parts of the story that bother me. Like, why is Jericho here? Why is Beit El? Like, why is this northern kingdom? I think we have a whole bunch of little keys now.
Hmm.
Directly tied to child death. Wow.
It's also interesting because the Chiel is God causes life, right? It's Lechiyot El, right? Like, so it's a very interesting name, considering that his kids all die. But in some ways, and that's literally the line before we meet Elijah for the first time, right? So this is all sort of tied together, and we had hints in the text earlier of like how this is being set up for us.
I want to know, because the Midrash always goes crazy with the animals that appear in the text. Like, I believe it's like 5 minutes before the day is over that the donkey that speaks under Bilam is created. I want to know about these bears. What adventures in the Midrash did these bears go on, separate from here?
So it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know offhand specifically. I can tell you one Midrash I should definitely know from this is there's this. The rabbis learn from this that if you do not escort a stranger when they leave your home, like you should escort them a certain amount to make sure they're safe. It's as if you're shedding blood. And they learned that from, if the inhabitants of Jericho had escorted Elisha, then he would never have let loose the bears on the children.
Oh, that's great.
So it's not that the person that that you're escorting is in danger. You should escort them because they might harm others.
That's incredible.
Like, it's crazy. Like, you're hosting people who might kill people, and you better, you're responsible for them. So you better keep watch over them until they're like a good safe distance from where you live.
Yeah, I had to kill 42 children, or kidnap them, or split them in half.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, not only is Yoav like right about the she bears, at least grammatically, like if we keep the text of the Masoretic text as is, but like that is also, like, the rabbis all say they're female bears, so they're reading it the same way, and that is important to them for various reasons.
Yanni, are there she bears in the sense that you were implying? I think there are
Amazonians, you mean?
I,
Amazonians?
I think you're calling back to Yoav's transgender bears, David.
Yes. Anyway, wow. This is why Donnie has enjoyed this conversation so much. I've done my best.
Just a comment. Since a lot of ancient Hebrew got lost, we actually don't know what animal it is. We know it's some kind of a carnivore. It could be a hyena, it could be a wolf. Just the meaning of the words got lost with time.
So it's by okay.
I think because we have other languages that have other kind of support. I don't think that this is such a big yes or stretch.
No, I don't deny there are bears. It's not so clear. I mean, if it was English bear, you would be certain it was a bear.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was ancient English, it will not be called a bear. It could be called a beowulf, and then you're suddenly not very sure what a beowulf is. And when you go as far, no, but that is just a historical fact that we are not sure about the meaning. We know it's a carnivore, we don't know which.
But we do know in modern Aramaic and in Arabic, duva is bear, and
and Deba is hyena.
Right, that's true. Though, isn't there an aleph in that? But yeah,
it's it is also. I feel like Yoav, you're speaking my language, and that you're opening up a whole can of worms related to bears. Is that there's certain animals that are given divine attributes, and bears symbolically, like the reason why it's a beewolf, even the reason why it's a bear. Bear is an ancient word for brown, and they didn't even want to say the word for bear because bears were considered like holy. So it was, or maybe awesome is the proper term, like that you might call one by accidentally saying its name. So instead you just call it the brown thing. Or even in the story of Beowulf, the reason why he's Beowulf is he's compared to a bear, and it's the beewolf. It's what kind of a wolf likes honey? It's a bear, right? Like it's the image is actually of a bear eating honey. That's a beewolf, right? So is there, because now Yanni introduced it all related to the constellations and the thing in the north and all this other stuff. I don't know if there is something symbolic about it being bears.
No, it's not. We know the Canaanite constellations decently, and they don't use animals so much. Not like the way that the Greeks or others would. They tend to see everything as kind of these humanoid, kind of weird beings, but there's not like a bear person.
Is it not in Job that it says who can call out the bear and its cub?
But it's not the bear. What the translator did is they took the name of the constellation in Hebrew, and it has oh gosh, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it has a different name in Hebrew. It's nothing to do with bears. But then they translated it into Ursa.
Right.
Like
with the modern understanding.
Or later would understand what it was, which is super not fair in some ways. Like the word for Orion in Hebrew is Kasio, which means fool, because they're actually making fun of a Ugaritic myth of who that is, and they're saying that he's actually one of the Nephilim that gets changed to the sky. He's the fool that got tricked into being changed. So like there's a whole thing, but yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, because I've heard people say that Orion the hunter is identified with Nimrod. So there's some people that think that Orion is Nimrod, like they connect it, the giant.
Yeah, there is that connection too. In Hebrew, what we call Ursa Major or whatever, in Job, at least we think. I mean, we could talk about whether it was lost or not, but generally it's Aish, quite Aish with an ayin, and her children. Right, she's actually a bear with multiple cubs, which doesn't actually sound exactly like Ursa Major, since there's not more than one Ursa Minor. That's like a whole other kind of challenge. But that's how they translated it.
Yanni, go.
Okay, go, Yoav.
I was talking to you now. I want to reproach you for not mentioning when we were talking about flying carriages, like carriages on top of mountains. You should have mentioned the Greek mythology about flying carriages.
Oh, of Helios pulling the sun. I was trying to talk about this. You guys ignored me, so it's okay. It's no big deal. I have a question, Bill. I have a question, which is just if bears are important. I don't think they are, but let's say they are.
Yeah.
The internet, the AI is telling me that bear does not appear in the first 5 books.
Correct.
So I'm wondering, is that an error? Because I'm sure, I didn't even look, I'm sure the word lion appears. I'm sure other specific types of animal will appear. But if a bear can beat a lion, then why is the mythology of the bear not in those first 5 books? They only appear later. So that's just a question.
I think it has to do with history, right? The Jews don't live in the part of, like, they don't live in northern Israel.
You said it was a menagerie. There should be bears
It
everywhere.
is, but there's no bears in Egypt. We know there's no bears in Egypt. There's no bears in the Sinai. There's no bears in Mesopotamia. The bears we know live in the forests of the Lebanon and the anti-Lebanon and Syria and in the northern Israeli forests. They're just not there a lot in the first 5 books. There's a small place when they're in Dotan, when Joseph's looking for his brothers, where they're in that sort of that region. That's really the only time. So I also think topographically, symbolically, it's like in their world as much. Once they settle in the land and they're there for hundreds of years, they're interacting with bears a lot more. Meanwhile, they certainly interact with lions because the lions are in the hills of Judah and the northern Negev. We know that. In fact, they lived there until about 100 years ago. Like, there were still Asiatic lions.
Well, and lions are symbolically important in Egypt as well.
And lions are symbolically important for lots of things. Yeah. And obviously there are wolves are mentioned, but you know what? Lots and lots of animals that were not mentioned in the first 5 books are mentioned in the prophets.
Cats.
Cats is a great example. Cats are never mentioned in the first 5 books. They're mentioned in the prophets. Hyenas are never mentioned, as far as I can remember, in the first 5 books. Polecats, right? I mean, there's a whole bunch of animals that we know exist and that are mentioned by everyone else because they're there. The Lilith, whatever that is, right? The Lilith, it's also only mentioned.
It's just an owl. It's just an owl. Please, it's just an owl.
Okay.
Oh, did you see Esoterica, David, on the history of Lilith? It's great.
Yes, yeah. I love Esoterica. Yeah.
But he was talking about how the mistranslation and the joke and the puns and it's so good.
I thought
I want to elaborate.
Convert to Reform Judaism.
Wait, what?
I thought they were a convert to Reform Judaism.
No. Okay, Yoav.
Just to amplify what Yosef said, bears do not hunt sheep. So when you're living of a pastoral life and you're herding sheep and goats, you don't interact much with bears. You interact with bears when you start to clear the forest, when you settle into the land and you start to clear the forest.
Yeah. Though David does mention that he has to protect his flock in Beit Lechem from bears and lions, which is kind of interesting.
That's why I'm not sure these are bears. But
yeah.
Well, but it's interesting because, like, from my experience within Boy Scouts, the thing about certain predatory animals, they come to you because you have food. But a bear is not you get attacked by a bear not because it's trying to eat you, but because it is an animal that kills whatever is near it, right? Or it's protective. That it's more of the sense. Even the image that I showed is of one of the greatest movies ever called Grizzly Man. I don't know if people have seen it, but it's one of my favorites. But like the psychology of what a bear is, like it's not even its intention to hunt you or to eat you, though polar bears will hunt human beings actively. But most bears they just can't stand that anything else is existing near its cubs. and will kill all things. Yeah. I think Luke is very jealous.
He can come on. He has a link.
Yeah, he has a link. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting. I'm looking up. So the Syrian brown bear, which is the bear of this region, is sort of it's similar to our brown bear. I mean, it's everything you say seems to fit it. It's not as aggressive as a polar bear, and yeah, they pretty much avoided people unless they were being directly threatened or their cubs were threatened. But it certainly was around. They would have known it.
What if, because God has access to all bears, what if they were polar bears?
Well, so there is there. So you want one of the midrashim? You want one of the midrashim, David? One of the midrashim is there are rabbis who say, "Hey, like the Yoav, this makes no sense. They can't be bears. Bears don't live there. So God miraculously created a forest and miraculously put bears there to make this happen." It's even more than just like, you know, they come out of the forest and attack. It's like none of this makes sense. We need to like use a God of the gaps miracle to like say like so much more is happening here miraculously. You know,
we had it before in the story of the fights against Absalom. Suddenly there is a huge forest in the middle of, and the trees are starting to eat people. It's not the first time that the Israeli forest turns bad.
Well, you know what? Well, then I'm going on the side of it was a polar bear. Polar bears.
Yes.
I have another technical question. How can two bears possibly kill 42 kids? I mean, they would disperse. So a bear may chase 10 kids.
I mean, I just think about this, all right? Child number 1 is being killed and is screaming. Then child number 2 is killed and screaming. And then child number 3 is killed. You have to go all the way to 42 before, and no one noticed? No one noticed?
Well, it was,
this is a Piper situation.
No,
it was out of town. It was out of town, but the kids will disperse.
My image is like in samurai movies where like a single slash happens and then just like 8 people all just are cut in half. That's what I'm hoping. Hoping for?
I mean, it gives a lot of credence to young
Oh my God. The funniest thing. Because of course the joke is you give honey over vinegar and you have bears taking the kids because they're giving honey. Oh, I figured it out.
Well, guys, we've talked through this passage a lot. I feel that we got did we get anywhere, Yoav? You're the one to decide. You were with the least theories. Do you feel that we got anywhere?
Yes, I understand the basic of the story. And again, Yosef has led me there.
And Yanni, give Yanni his due. Come on.
Yeah. No, Yanni was providing the color. Yosef was giving me the main plot. The main plot is about the event we just read about Eliyahu going up and Elisha losing his master, and a group of 50 from Bethel don't accept Elisha and disobeying his explicit order to shut up by mocking him about it. Killing 50 prophets in the Bible is it's common. Every other day you get some 50.
Well, and if you give commands to a prophet, if you tell a prophet what to do, also look out.
Yeah. Well, I'm just upset that this is going to be the last time. Probably going to be the last time I see Jan God on stream for a long time.
No.
Why?
Because I like Jan God. He has interesting things to say.
So why is it the last time?
Because he's trying to stay an enigma. And so he was going to throw a flashbang and there's going to be like a puff of smoke and then he's going to go away. And then it's going to be random when he shows up. Like,
He's going to go on a chariot to heaven. Come on, it's going to be a fire chariot.
Okay,
Demons are gonna
okay. So
carry him.
you're good. I have an assignment for you.
Is he
To
wearing
the
a
next
girdle?
It's about flying chariot. There is this term in Hebrew, rochev aravot, and those aravot are usually interpreted as clouds. So is riding in the clouds. So it conjures an image of the god in his chariot riding over the clouds. My assignment to you is there an Indo-European root for arava, meaning a chariot?
Well, hold a second.
I'll get back
Because-
to you next week.
Well, I mean, it's good homework, but one of the really interesting things is the word for Europe comes from Arev and Ma'arav, from where the sun sets, because it comes from Phoenician. Because Europe is a Phoenician princess who, in the Greek myth, who is taken Europa, and her name is really originally from the word Erev, and she's associated with the West.
Okay,
So I think Aravot
yes.
is much more connected to a Canaanite Phoenician root than it is a Indo-European one.
Yanni, if you come next week,
to be fair, I think I like that, Yosef, but I also think there's a lot of hybridization and blending. So
Sure.
It's still an interesting question.
I will give you, if you do come with a presentation, I will give you, could you do 7 minutes? I'll give you 7 minutes, but not
9 minutes. 9 minutes.
Fine. I was spoken up to 9. You got 9 because Yoav has put his name forward, but not 10. Okay, 9, not 10. If you want, you don't need to, guys. This was wonderful. I don't know how I feel. And I'm very much looking forward to next week's conversation as well, because there's a lot happening there. And Kirk is really looking forward to it because he might actually have a chance to read. He asked me permission to read, and I was like, no, you showed up too late. We already read the passage, and it had too much to it to move beyond it. So any last words? Yoav, last words?
Yes, about graves.
Oh.
All right. You know what? I'm starting to work now. So you can talk. I can't promise my undivided attention. I promise you my divided attention.
Okay. The book of Genesis, the last 2 sentences, Joseph make Israel swear that they will bring his bones from Egypt back to Israel. And then in Exodus, at the beginning of Exodus, they do this. And they bring the bones of Joseph from Egypt to Israel. And we have read, because we are reading a bit of the Bible every week, we read this passage this Monday. And this Monday is the day when we brought the bones of the last kidnapped person from Egypt back to burial in Israel.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's also,
Did Chezi talk about that this week too? I feel like that came out.
No, I mean, might have. I didn't hear it from Chezi.
Okay, yeah. No, it's definitely, it's super powerful. Yeah. Bring the bones out.
Bring the bones out from captivity. Whoa, okay.
Oh.
Heavy.
Yoav, have you heard other people doing that? Did you do that yourself, or did you get that from someone? Because that's beautiful.
Well, it's all over the country.
Yeah.
It is the event of the week in Israel.
I know, but are other people making the parallels to what is being read? Okay.
Anybody who read the Bible on Monday, which is supposed to be everybody.
Yeah.
Do most Israelis read the Bible on Monday?
Hopefully.
Next week we're going to talk about whether or not sacrificing your children is effective to thwarting God. That's
Oh
going to
gosh,
come
that
up.
one.
That happens. It's debated.
Maybe. Wait, no. I don't think that's actually how. I don't think that's what it means. But we can talk about it.
Well, that's exactly right. That's part of how you could interpret it. Yeah.
I think he's sacrificing someone else's child.
Well, that's it.
Oh.
You got to work. Look, everyone who's watching, pray for either Yosef's to become sick or for him to still
No,
be snowed
do
in. I wish
Do
we
not
could
do
get.
so.
I wish we could get you out of blessing, but it's only out of cursing that we get you here. So
Ay. You've been reading too much Alicia and Eliyahu, man.
if you can come out of good, I will pray good for you. But I like you being here so much.
I
Maybe
mean, it is kind of like having your own chat GPT regarding the Bible. It is useful.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's better than that.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
what
yeah.
an insult.
That's good. That's good. Yanni may have just called Yosef a demon. I'm not
I have to
sure.
send some bears to Yanni. Yeah.
Does anyone connect this? Sorry, I keep on saying we're going to go. Does anyone connect this with a yarmulke? I know yarmulkes were not a headdress at this time.
How? What are you saying?
Because it's a bald cap. It's sometimes called a bald cap.
Not by us, but
But you know, it's, this right here. That's where the hat is.
I've never heard this connected to that. I have to say.
Okay, all right. Sorry.
Maybe someone does somewhere.
I thought in my head I was like, no, the yarmulke, the kippah is much later.
The kippah is much later. It's like 3rd or 4th century later.
Yeah,
but it's a scientific fact. If you go up on foot from Jericho to Beth El, and you're bald, and you don't have your hat on, you're dead.
That is true.
I like this as a relationship.
Yeah, you gotta cover your head. Stay safe.
Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. This was a ton of fun.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.